as I sort of wrap up these videos, I really just wanted to review again some of the resources that I have found helpful that have helped kind of, facilitate my own growth as a parent, and has added to, what I've shared with you through all of these videos, that I think you might find helpful. For those of you who are readers, most of these can probably be found at the library, so you don't have to, spend a lot of money, or they can be found online. A lot of these myself I have found at thrift stores or used bookshops. Anytime I see something parenting wise, I'm kind of a sucker for books, and I have a lot of parenting books to read that I haven't read yet because I don't have a lot of time, but I'm always looking for, different ideas and tips and tricks and, all sorts of different things related to parenting, relating to kids. Again, I consider myself a child advocate. And I think we can learn a lot from kids. And so I'm just a sucker for those parenting books and just ways, that can help me relate to kids better, can help improve my relationships with kids, whether it's my own or students that I work with. And so, yeah, if you're a reader and you think some of these things might be helpful, I was just going to share those resources again and a few new ones that I haven't that might be helpful too. So again, most of what I've talked about can be found in this book, Play Therapy, The Art of the Relationship. This was written by Gary Landreth, the creator of child-centered play therapy. He works out of University of North Texas, if he's still working these days, but a great book. This book is geared more towards therapists or those, working with children in like a therapeutic sort of environment. But a lot of the stuff relates really well to parenting, and I, as a parent, find it super helpful to reference this book. I did look. It's dang expensive. This is like $120. Eek! So, yeah, maybe see if you can find it used if you want to get your hands on this, or maybe see if it might be available at the library, but I guess it's more like a textbook sort of a thing, so maybe that's why. But anyways, good stuff in this book. I know before I have shared, let's see, how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. I believe they also have one that's geared towards teenagers or adolescents. And so anyways, this one employs a lot of the different things that child-centered play also teaches. And in here, there's lots of just hands-on, like actual things that you can do. There is some like places where you can write and like kind of worksheety sort of stuff. Not a ton of that, but a lot of practical stuff that you can use. Really easy to read. It is kind of thick, but it goes super fast. So anyways, another good one. I know that I talked about connection parenting. Again, this one, the subtitle on this is Parenting Through Connection Instead of Coercion, Through Love Instead of Fear. We don't want our children to be scared of us. We don't want to scare them into submission or scare them into obedience. If we have a strong relationship and connection with our kids, our kids are going to want to obey us, are going to want to listen to us, are going to want to do the right thing. And so anyways, this is really good. This actually, I love one of the chapters in here because it talks about, as parents ourselves, looking at our own history, how we were parented, looking at the things that we want to, continue through our parenting journey with our own kids, or things that maybe we want to say, I was parented that way and I don't want to do that, right? So this kind of helps you reflect on your own self as well to guide you on your parenting journey. So anyways, I love this book. I've recommended this a lot to parents. The Whole Brain Child, I know I also recommended. This one is kind of for more of those parents who like to know the research, the science behind stuff. This does go into some development as well. And it's sciencey, research-based, but it's easy to read. It's not, you're not going to run into a bunch of big words that you're going to have to get a dictionary for. Really user-friendly, but, goes into like the why and stuff of how our kids' brains are working. Anyways, fascinating stuff, especially when it comes to like self-regulation. Yeah. And he has a bunch of books. That one is by Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. But Dr. Dan Siegel has a lot of books on like the whole brain child and just development and things like that. He's pretty amazing. And one of the last ones, I know I referenced, these Gazelle Institute of Human Development books. These are put together over decades and decades of research on, just watching and observing kids and development. And so helping parents know, is this typical for an 8-year-old or, my 10 to 14-year-old? Or should I be concerned? Is this something I need to talk to the doctor about or a counselor about or whatever it may be? Super helpful, research-based, awesome stuff. And those, I think I mentioned in that video, range anywhere between $10 to $20, I think, a book. So I have just been finding some of them at thrift stores and grabbing them when I can, or, when my kids get to a certain age and I'm finding as a parent I'm struggling a little bit, I order the one that's age appropriate for them at that time. Okay, the other one that might be helpful, well, I know I mentioned this one too. So Positive Discipline, A through Z, 1001 Solutions to Everyday Parenting Problems. So this is the Positive Discipline approach. And so this is written by Jane Nelson. And this one is kind of, what is my kiddo going through? So this one, divorce, understanding your child, yourself, in the situation, giving some pointers. Fighting, bedwetting, bath time hassles, angry or aggressive child, all sorts of things. So this breaks it down by category or kind of situation or struggle that you might be going through and gives you some ideas on maybe how to handle that. So that one can be handy too. Another one that might be helpful. I'm sure you've heard of like the 5 love languages, like for adults, for, parents or spouses or whatever to use in their own relationships. But it's important to get to know our kids too. And they have their own language of love on how they accept love and how they feel loved, but also how they express love to others too. So this could be helpful in, kind of figuring out what love language does your child like to be loved in, like what things do need to happen for them to feel loved and important. So anyways, that might be good for you as well. Then some other ones that I have really just found this year, and a student's parent pointed one of these out to me, and I read it, and it's been helpful with multiple students. And then I found out they had a whole series. Now, I haven't used the whole series with a lot of parents yet, or a lot of families, but a couple, my mind is blown, right? Because they're really user-friendly. They provide analogies and examples that relate easy to kids and kind of gets their imagination going and their creative side, right? And so these are, I call them the What to Do series, okay? So this one, What to Do When Your Temper Flares. So those kiddos who have problems with anger, okay? So this likens their temper or their anger like a fire, okay? And there's also some other analogies in here that are super helpful. I guess just I can show you inside a little bit. This is like a workbook. So you would do, some of the exercises in this book with your kiddo. You would read it together, and they recommend you just doing like one chapter at a time. But this could be a way too, like a ritual or a tradition, every whatever day at this time, me and mom work through my What to Do When Your Temper Flares workbook to try to understand our anger and how to self-regulate and kind of cope with it and work through it in a positive way or in, a way that's not going to hurt ourselves or others. So they have one for your temper, kiddos with anger issues. What to Do When Mistakes Make You Quake, a kid's guide to accepting imperfection. So kiddos who, want to be perfect at everything, and that's really a struggle for them. That could be helpful. What to Do When You Don't Want to Be Apart. So dealing with separation anxiety. What to Do When You Dread Your Bed. Sleep problems, right? What to do when you grumble too much, overcoming negativity can be super important. I haven't flipped through this one yet, but I'm excited to read through this one. What to do when fear interferes, so overcoming phobias. You know, some of the fears our kids experience are very, very real to them and can be debilitating. And so that one could be super helpful. What to do when it's not fair, handling envy and jealousy. Oh, how often do we hear that phrase, right? Yeah. What to do when you feel too shy, overcoming social anxiety. What to do when your brain gets stuck. So this one has to do with overcoming OCD. And this one is the one that I have the most experience with, is what to do when you worry too much. So overcoming anxiety. I know, in this last year or whatever, since this pandemic began, a lot of anxiety has crept up in our kiddos. And so that one, super helpful. I've gotten some really good feedback on that from parents. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share some resources with you guys as parents, some things that can be helpful for you to help your kids, to help build that positive, encouraging relationship so you can have that secure attachment and, can really enjoy being with your kids and can enjoy parenting them. Like parenting should be a joy, should be a fun thing that we are blessed to be able to do. And, it's can be stressful. We don't have a handbook, a guidebook, an instruction book on how to do this, because every kid is different, every parent is different. We all have our unique needs and thoughts and opinions and whatever. And so I hope that some of the stuff that I've shared with you can be helpful. If you want to provide some feedback, I don't mind getting feedback on stuff. If there's other stuff you think could be helpful that I might be able to share with you. Again, I'm not a parenting expert, but I can look things up and research and share some ideas with you all. I'm happy to do that. So, yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. It's definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, but it's been fun. And so I hope that you've learned something, that you're inspired to try some new things. And yeah, hopefully you have learned some stuff and can take some of this stuff with you. So thank you so much for your time, for listening, letting me share with you. I appreciate it, and I wish you all well. Take care.